6 p.m. and the October 7th meeting of the Dublin San Ramon Services District Board of Directors is called to order. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Vanita Leopold,
Here.
Director Gavadaro,
Here.
Vice President Halkett,
Here.
and President Goel.
Present. Thank you so much. We'll move on to item 4, special announcements and activities. Item 4A, new employee introductions. Staff.
Good evening, President Goel and members of the board. I'm Sean Quinlan, the Mechanical Maintenance Superintendent, Division 53 of Operations. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce the new members of our team. Gentlemen, if you can step up to the podium. In no particular order, we have Hayden Jackson, our maintenance worker 1. He works for General Contractor, and he's also a contractor. Gabriel Curtis, he's a maintenance mechanic for Fremont. He's a mechanic 1. And Scott Lyda, another mechanic 1. He worked for Niagara Water.
Welcome.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Right. Thank you very much.
Always to the point. That's
Short and sweet. Thank you so much. And again, welcome. Moving on to item 5, public comment. At this time, those in the audience are encouraged to address the board on any item of interest that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and not already included on tonight's agenda. Comments should not exceed 5 minutes. Are there any speaker cards from the members of the public?
No, there isn't.
Very good. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 6, agenda management.
No recommended changes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 7, consent calendar. Matters listed under this item are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the board or the public prior to the time the board votes on the motion to adopt. Is there a motion to approve the items under the consent calendar?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
I got a motion by Director Von Heater Leopold and a second by Director Govinda Rao. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimous. Moving on to item 8, board business. Item 8A. Consider the appointment of Edward R. Duarte to fill the board vacancy in Division 2. Staff.
Good evening, President Goel, members of the board. On September 9th, the board discussed filling the vacancy created by former Director Anne Marie Johnson's resignation on August 31st by direct appointment. Former District Director Edward Duarte was proposed to complete the remaining Division 2 term until a new director is elected and seated in December 2026. The board directed staff to bring back an item to fill the vacancy by direct appointment, which is the item for consideration before the board this evening.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So at this time, I'm going to check and see if we have any members of the public that wish to make any comments. Do we have any speaker cards?
No speaker card, but we did receive a comment. On October 6th, District Secretary Nicole Gonzalez received a message from former board member Anne Marie Johnson expressing her full support for Ed Duarte being appointed to fill the remainder of the term.
Thank you, prior board member Anne Marie Johnson. This is your seat, so your voice is being heard. And we do, once again, appreciate your words and wishes as we take this into consideration. And we hope you're enjoying your time at your new location. With that, I'm going to move to board discussion. I'll start to my right to see if there's any comments.
I don't have any comments. I think we have made an excellent choice in Mr. Doherty. I think he'll land on his both feet.
Okay, starting on my left.
Nothing.
All right, and
good choice.
I think I would concur with Director Von Heater Leopold that Mr. Edward Duarte is definitely a good point. I'm looking forward to, if this is a successful vote and an appointment, to really gain some knowledge because he served us well in the past, and I think he's going to serve us well into the future. So, with that, I would look for a motion to support this resolution.
I'll move approval of the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, so I got a motion by Director Von Heater Leopold and a second by Director Govinda Rao. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? The motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'd now like to invite District Notary Sherry Davis and Director Duarte up to the front. Sherry will swear in Director Duarte into the DSRSD Board of Directors and Division 2 seat. Congratulations. Congratulations, Director Duarte. I'd like to request that you now have a seat in between us both.
Awesome.
So is this retirement reserve call up?
No, it's first rate.
I just wanted to say that I'm pleased to be back, and I appreciate your confidence in asking me to serve. I see a lot of new faces, but I see a lot of old familiar faces, good friends. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Again, congratulations and welcome aboard. I'm looking to sponge off all of your knowledge. All right, with that, we'll move on to item 8B and put you into full rodeo here, like you never left. We're going to move on to item 8B. Receive a presentation on utility billing operations and delinquency management procedures. Staff.
Okay, thank you, President Goel, members of the board. Okay, so tonight's presentation, utility billing. So this started off at a public hearing on delinquent water charges that occurred on July 22nd, 2025. The board had asked for staff to evaluate and report on potential improvements that we could make to our utility billing operations, both water and sewer operations, and our delinquency management procedures. So given that, what we're going to give tonight is a number of topics on the quick overview of the current billing payment structure, and then go over some expected or anticipated procedural changes. So the first item there is we'll give a quick overview of the billing structure and schedule, the billing preparation timeline, payment due dates, the delinquency timeline, and then we'll give an evaluation of procedural changes and, of course, next steps. So,
Is there somebody controlling the slide?
okay. So for the billing structure, simply put, Billing occurs twice twice each month over the bi-monthly period. And we do a quarter of the district is billed on the 1st and 15th of month 1, and a quarter of the district is billed on the 1st and 15th of month 2 for full coverage of the entire district.
You don't mind, we advance.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you.
There we go. And then there's a second half. Okay. There's 4 bill runs in each bi-monthly billing period. There's 6 billing periods in a year for 24 bill runs in a year. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So we have here an annual billing schedule. That's like a lot of numbers and dates and things, but really the bottom line out of all of it is that the district has 27,738 water accounts, and of those accounts, it's pretty close to 50-50 that half of them are e-bills and half of them are paper bills. So we have 166,000 bills generated every single year. 81,000 of those would be e-bills and 84,000 paper bills. Okay. Next slide. So for the billing preparation timeline, essentially this first item, daily account updates, those go on continuously. They're ongoing and they go on continuously. You always have customers that are buying and selling houses. You always have rental tenants, that are moving in and out. It's very, very frequent, and there's just a lot of activity and a lot of changes, and that just goes on a daily basis. So when you actually want to start a bill run, each bill run takes approximately 2 weeks, 14 days. The first thing you do is you import the meter reads. Okay, and then once you've got the meter reads imported, then we prepare and review I call it a pre-billing report, but actually the staff calls it an audit report. And within that audit report, they look through that, they review it pretty thoroughly, and they're looking for identified misreads, missed reads. Are you looking for unusual patterns? Are you looking for communication failures? They're looking for repair or reprogram meters or things, repairs that need to be made to meters to correct discrepancies. Okay, and then once all the meter reads have been approved, essentially, the meter reads are posted, and then the bills are generated, and the bills are sent to the customers. And the day of the bill sent becomes day 1 of a billing process. Okay, so then the next slide is the payment due date. The payment due date is actually within the system. It's day 21. The bill is due. Then from days 22 to 30, there's a grace period of about 8 days where really we're trying to get all the collections all during the first 30 days. Try to get those collected without having to go to the delinquency process. And so we say it's due on the 21st, and then we give an additional 8 days to get things collected. On day 31, that's when bills become past due, and there's a 10% penalty applied. Okay. The delinquency time. This is the delinquency timeline per policy. Okay. So the delinquency timeline starts on day 31. The customer receives a late payment notice. That's called this Notice 2 with a 10% penalty attached. The customer has 23 days to pay the bill, and if it's not paid, the customer receives a shutoff notice. That's notice number 3. That's delivered as a door tag with an informational flyer. Okay. Once the customer receives the shutoff notice, that payment is due within 7 days. And it's at that time that customer service is trying to reach the customer by telephone to negotiate a payment agreement. If a payment agreement is reached, then the delinquency process stops and water stays on. If the payment agreement is not reached, then it proceeds to shut off. Okay? And The policy is actually called a discontinuation of residential water service for non-payment policy. Customers can request a payment arrangement at any point in time during the delinquency process. They could get all the way up to the very end, of the 7-day collection period, and then, and then work out a payment arrangement and get the item paid. Okay. The district may choose the payment option plan to offer for the customer to offer it to the customer for the customer to accept. And basically, the staff has a number of templates, and they select the template that best fits this particular situation. Okay. Customers must pay the balance within 12 months. The general manager may extend payment periods beyond 12 months depending upon circumstances and discretion. Okay. And final collection actions. Unpaid balances greater than 90 days become delinquent. Balances greater than $25 may be referred to a collection agency or be levied on the property tax roll. Amounts less than $25 are written off as de minimis. And for the fiscal year 25, we had $484 written off. That consisted of 36 items that were less than $25. And then I wanted to mention that the district's collection rate is very high. A recent bill run on June 15th of 2025, 7,627 bills were sent. Delinquent notices went out to 609 customers. There was 46 7-day shut-off notices sent, and out of all of those, only 2 were actually shut off. So the customer service staff was really doing a wonderful job of negotiating and talking with customers and basically getting them to pay before actually going to a shut-off. Okay. So we're going to evaluate some procedural changes that we talked about at that public hearing. The first item was an observation that some payments plans extended beyond the maximum 12 months, beyond the 12 months during the COVID-19 period. Okay. And the recommendation is simply to adhere to the discontinuation of residential water service for non-payment policy. There was a number of those items that was at that July board meeting. All of those items went on the property tax roll, and effective 7/1 and moving forward, for FY26, the 12-month policy will be enforced. Okay. And the next item is property owner responsibility. The issue came up that some property owners may be unaware of non-payment by their tenants. And the recommendations in those cases is that the district staff will expand billing and service information to customers and on the website. We will revise disclosures on the backside of bills to expand for the notification. And then we'll notify rental property owners directly. And we think that the best time to do that is at the time of when the 7-day notice is sent, and that's when it really becomes imminent. And that's when we'll notify the owner of that situation. Okay, and next slide is on this subject of the de minimis amount for levy. It seemed that there was a low minimum threshold for property tax levies at $25. The recommendation is to keep at $25. And the reason is that the value is simply a de minimis threshold and not some sort of a cost-benefit equation. So for amounts that are greater than $25, we will place those on the property tax roll, and for amounts less than $25, we will just write those off. There was some question about possibly saving staff time if the threshold were raised to $50, and the answer to that is no, because delinquency processing goes on year-round with all the 24 bill runs that occurs during the year. So basically, all that delinquency processing and collections is a sunk cost, and to raise that to $50, just wouldn't improve anything. Okay. And the next slide is ways to pay. There's a number of methods that customers can pay. They can pay online using the payment portal, credit cards and e-checks. They can pay by the telephone, that's automated telephony. by credit cards and e-checks. They can pay in person at the service counter, by credit cards, cash, check, or money order. They can pay by mail. It goes to the lockbox where the bank processes the coupon and the payment. You can use a check or money order. There's a drop box just right out here in the parking lot. So if it's midnight, you want to get your bill paid, you can go drop it in the drop box, and there you go. That's by check or money order. And then there's the bank, also the customer's own bank that provides a bill payment service. Basically, you set up the payee with your bank, and the bank makes a payment when you set up the payment. So, okay, and the next slide is payment fees. The observation is that the credit card processing fee is 3.6% of the payment, and the district absorbed approximately $220,000 in FY25 of these fees. The e-check transaction, there's also a transaction fee on e-checks. That's $1.95 each. It is a new form of payment that was introduced in November 2024 with implementation of this new payment portal. And the district absorbed approximately $34,000 of e-check fees in the fiscal year 2025. So the recommendation is to begin charging for the credit card fees and to continue to absorb the $1.95 fee for the e-check transaction. And this is because it improves collections on delinquent bills to have an option for immediate posting to the account. And basically it's when there's a customer that's trying to stop the shut-off action, essentially. So they can pay the bill right then and there, and it's posted to their account. Okay. The next slide is effective January 1st of 2026. There's ways to pay without a fee, and you can, without a fee, of course, you can pay by cash. You can pay by check or money order. The district has an ACH program where we can set the customer up within our own ACH system, and it's a debit that's initiated, a debit transaction that's initiated to the customer's account, and it comes out on a fixed date. New customers can also sign up online. There's going to be, it's not done yet, but we're going to make a fillable template where customers can go to this fillable template and put in all their information, name, account number, routing number, that kind of stuff. And then also the district initiates a debit withdrawal from the bank on a fixed date, or you can pay by e-check, which we're recommending to continue for the district to absorb the fee. Okay. Next slide is a lot of data, it's a lot of table, and basically it's a quantity and cost comparison if converting to monthly billing. If we converted to monthly billing, there would be an immediate cost effect, and with the number of bills. The number of paper bills that are printed each year is, at this point in time, it's 84,846. So that would double to 169,000 bills printed. And the cost currently is 82,330 for the 84,000 bills that are printed, and the cost would double to approximately $165,000 on the cost of printing the bills. Okay, so for further discussion of the conversion to monthly billing, it would potentially double the activities and required resources. We would need to rebalance and combine routes. We would need to optimize the audit process by increasing automation. And that's the review of those meter readings. And we would explore a further push to paperless billing. Currently, it's half the district, and we want to do our best to move the needle, further over. And the recommendation is to evaluate further after staff is completely proficient with the new billing software. It hasn't been in place all that long. So we want to get better at it. And then the next slide is for next steps. And we're looking for any direction from the board and possible revisions to policies, procedures, and practices as directed. And the next slide is questions. And you can actually advance it to the next slide, which is a summary of recommendations. So we've covered a lot of materials and information, and we'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have. So
Thank you.
these are the summary recommendations for the payment plans exceeding 12 months, the property owner notification, the de minimis amount, payment fees for the credit cards, and the continue to absorb the e-checks, and then the bi-monthly to monthly billing. So,
Thank you for that comprehensive report. That was
yes.
not a small feat, but I think it was timely, right? It identified some opportunities for us to do better.
It uncovered a lot of information and things that we realize that we need to work on to really fine tune the machine, essentially.
Perfect. Thank you so much. With that, what I'll do is I'm already seeing some indication for comments and questions. So I'll start off to my right, Director Juan Heater Leopold.
Well, first of all, thank you for the report. Very comprehensive. I agree with all of the recommendations. I have no problem with any of them. I do have a question, though. Back on page 8 of my copy, the discontinuation of residential water service for non-payment. It says the customers must pay the balance within 12 months. And I assume, I guess they're shut off and they're gone. Is that what, because wouldn't they have to also stay current if we rehook them up? Or
Yes.
can't they?
Yes,
They
they
can
would.
get a payment
Yeah.
plan and stay current plus the payment plan.
Correct.
Okay.
If you actually get to that point where you're at 12 months and you want to go beyond the 12 months, that would have to be either a general manager decision, or essentially they would go back to shut off, and and then just go from there, because they would be in contact, trying to get reactivated, essentially.
Okay. Thank you.
Director Duarte.
Yes, thank you for the excellent report. As you said, a lot of data there. I'm just curious about, given the economy and what's everybody's talking about, the cost of living, how is the staff being treated by the customers that are frustrated and dealing with these issues? Have we had any major issues of pushback, or just the usual?
Oh yes, we have. I personally have extensive utility billing experience. I ran a utility billing department for 15 years. I know that the customers can be tough. That was a different time, but it's kind of the same when people have a bill to pay and they can't afford it. They're tough. Did you want to comment to that, Alberto?
Yes, good evening. My name is Alberto Hernandez, Finance Supervisor. I oversee the Utility Billing and Customer Service Division. And yes, and congratulations, Director Duarte. I think, we try our best to be accommodating to our customers. We understand that, people deal with, difficult financial situations. And so we try to be as flexible as the policy allows. And certainly there are those situations where, customers are just really frustrated and irate, and are oftentimes, demanding that we just waive the cost of their water service. But of course, that's not something that we can accommodate. And so we just try our best to really be flexible with the customers, be understanding, and just try to be empathetic and try to put ourselves in that situation. So I can speak really highly of the amount of work that our team does to work with customers, but also to prevent shutoffs from occurring, because we understand that that is a essential service that is needed for these individuals. So but we just try our best, and in many occasions, when customers are really frustrated, those calls are often escalated to me. So I do have the opportunity to speak to them directly, and again, I just work with them to try to do the most that we can to accommodate their special circumstances.
Yeah, I wanted to mention it because the district has always prided itself on on being customer friendly and of the best service to the taxpayer. But at the same time, as a company owner myself, I know that staff will take a certain amount of abuse, and I just wanted to express my support for the staff and the good job that you're obviously doing.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alberta.
Director Govindarao.
Yeah, again, thanks. A great presentation. Um, I agree with the summary of recommendations. Only one thing I would just ask is on the payment fees, where we will charge a credit card processing fee. But I'm wondering, like, do we really need to absorb the e-check transaction? I mean, and I would look and see the folks that are potentially delinquent and may need the assistance, like treat it on a case by case, and then those we could waive. But I'm just saying, do we need to waive it for everyone? And that's my thing that I would look at and see if that's really necessary to do it to that degree. So,
But our tentative plan was that we've been absorbing this $34,000, right now to date, and so we might let it go to, assuming that it increases, we might let it go to say 50,000, and then be looking at, do we want to reevaluate this, and make changes or what have you.
I guess I'm just wondering is do we want to wait? Do we want to wait or till then, or just maybe move in that direction now? So that's my thoughts are why not move it now? The majority of the folks, it sounds like what you said, were paying it on time, so I don't think they're going to really have too much of an issue with paying $1.95 transaction fee. The folks that can't, are having trouble with it, obviously, we should again, like Director Duarte said, I mean, I think we need to be customer friendly and try to see how we can help them out and waive those types of fees. So that would be my recommendation and thoughts from that perspective.
Okay.
If I could add, part of it is, as you heard, that it has been a very effective way to get payment before shut off so that the customer can make the payment right on the spot. They can also go online and make e-check payments. One of the things, and we did explore this potential, and maybe there's an opportunity to keep looking at it, that it's difficult to sort of ascertain who we would waive it for and who we would not, in terms of, are they on our low income, or was it a difficult month and they got behind? Well, they're not in our low income program, but then if they're having hardship, would they waive, and who would have that discretion? So that was part of the consideration of being able to ascertain like who we would waive it for and who we would not. So at this point, it's been a very effective tool for us. We wanted to spend a little more time monitoring and then perhaps explore the idea of whether there's a sort of a fair way that we can figure out who we could waive it for and then who we would charge it to. That is legally compliant.
Sure, absolutely. That's all I have. Thank you.
Director Halkett.
Okay, well done, and thank you for the summary slide that gives us a nice, easy place to work from. The discontinuation policy makes sense. The property owner notification, that's actually what prompted this whole discussion, because we had property owners in here who didn't realize that they were on the hook too. The notify the property rental owner, that's good, makes sense. One idea I had is, at least in Dublin, I'm not sure about San Ramon, in Dublin, to legally rent a property, you need a business license. So maybe we can hook up with the city business license people and put a flyer into the packet or something that says, congratulations, you're going to rent a property, but you are joint and severally liable for the utility bills if your tenant stiffs us. I know Dublin has that requirement. I bet San Ramon has as well. So one idea there.
The joint severally liable
joint
is in the district code currently.
Yes, but no landlord in the entire city is district code. So I was trying to surface it to a place that makes, it's like, and I know ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but I just want to make it really apparent. So if we can maybe insert it there, and the 7-day notice is good as well. That makes great sense. The fees, the credit card fee, I hate those, but we got to collect. That's a lot of money. I agree with Dinesh. We should look at this e-check fee at some point, but right now it's pretty small. The monthly billing is my bugaboo. I know that. And the one bullet point that was left off the slide was what's the cash flow improvement of going out monthly? That's going to offset some of the additional work. But I will let it lie for now. We all know that bi-monthly billing is not a financial choice. It was a choice on technology. It was back when you had meter readers, and it just took a lot of time to get around to every meter in the place. Now it's
That
automated.
would be one of the benefits is to balance out cash flows and improve cash flows for the customer and possibly even for ourselves.
Well, I mean, for ourselves, it's what I thought. I mean,
Yeah.
collecting money, by definition, we'd be collecting money twice as fast if we get out the bills twice as fast. I've said my piece.
Very good. Well, you stole some of mine, but
Oh, okay.
but no, I agree, and I that's exactly what I wrote. What prompted this whole thing about the landlords. I do agree with Director Halkett that if we could piggyback on something to help inform and educate the landlords, I do agree with the notice going out at the second notice because they need to be informed. I think that disclosure is going to be super important for the utility benefactor, or however you say it. In regards to the 3.6% credit card, I agree with it. I think what's left out and most probably is being considered by staff, but I want to call it out, is a transition period, right? Educational, this is what happens. So that way people who are, say, big bill holders don't all of a sudden get surprised and shocked with a 3.6%.
We're going to be notifying customers over the course of the in this next 2-month billing cycle, so that all the district customers will receive notifications of these changes.
Perfect. And then I think there's an opportunity, and I don't know how you want to phrase it, but a campaign to convert from both the payments that are exposing the agency, not just the 3.6, which we're now going to extend to them, but then the $1.95, and it's kind of in tune with where Director Govindarao and Director Halkett were going. But I'm saying at that same time, maybe we can say, help keep your rates lower by doing the following: convert to paperless, convert to this, all of those good things that we should do as good custodians. That's my comments.
Yeah.
And I think, unless anybody else needs to chime in and have any follow up.
No, I'm the only one I have is many years ago, because I'm kind of a flake, I would miss my bills and get in trouble. Auto pay, the auto pay system we have set up is really good, and I don't know how we push that. I know we have some public outreach people here. I mean, the more people on the auto pay, the better. Bills get paid. It's ACH. It's the cheapest way to get paid. So anything we can do to highlight that would be awesome.
Add Director Alkett, that is part of the why we are recommending delaying looking at charging customers the e-check fee, because our auto pay does point customers to e-check right now, and we need some time to look at how we can redo our website and our communications to try to sign more customers up for ACH.
So for accountability reasons, what's the kind of timeline? Are we looking at the beginning of next fiscal year to try to transition or do something? Or what, as you're going through that evaluation of trying to get people off of these e-checks, what's the target to have that new campaign in play?
We're evaluating it right now. I don't want to give you a definite answer at this point. As we've talked about, the Tyler Munis conversion only occurred at the beginning of the year, so there's a lot of optimization that's still going on. This is on our list, but is probably not top of the list right now.
All right, very good.
And one point to add to that is that for whatever reason, this auto pay feature is like hard coded into the software, and that's one of the things that we need to get in touch with the software manufacturer is on doing some sort of a special modification to change it. So this
makes sense.
Yeah.
And as you unravel one thing, something else gets unraveled. So thank you again to staff for this very thorough, concise report that really helped daylight some opportunities and some good opportunity for efficiencies. So thank you. With that, we will move on to item 9, reports. Item 9A, board items. I believe there was a Joint Powers Authority meeting, DERWA, held on September 22nd. Do I got a report out?
You want to go?
Sure, I'll go. I was the alternate. Attended with Georgine on September 22nd, and a few things. We nominated Georgine, or we appointed Georgine as vice chair, and so that was one. The second thing was there was there was a discussion on the backwash analysis, so that was also discussed. We adopted an amended budget. The other thing too was there's going to be the open house is going to be moved to the spring of 2026, and the next DERWO meeting will be on December 8th of this year. And Georgie, I don't know if you have anything else that I missed, but
Pretty much covers it.
okay.
Excellent. So with that, we'll move on to item 9A2, submittal of written reports for days of service for events attended by directors. Written reports are due this evening. I'm going to start on the right-hand side because I know Rich and I are going to have some stuff to report out on.
Okay.
So go ahead.
The CASM board had a retreat a couple of weeks ago, which I attended. We are rewriting the 5-year goals and objectives, and looking at more pointed priorities for the next 5 years. The lady that's done this for CASA for the last 5-6 years has a consulting company, and that's all they do is lead these board retreats to set goals and priorities. So it's really interesting. We got it down to 3 things we wanted to work on over the next 5 years. We have to continue the advocacy. There's absolutely no way that can go anywhere at all. We have quite a group of people that are handling it. They know the ins and outs. They know who they can talk to about what. And then the next one is member communications. Right now, there's about 12 ways you can get emails, listserv reports from CASA, which admittedly it can be overwhelming. So they're going to look at some ways to try and streamline some of those and to refresh the website because it's out of date. And then the last one, the last priority is member engagement and services. And that is to try and increase the activity between us at the conferences so that we engage even more with new people, with new board members, with new members as a whole, and to encourage more of that. Right now, the only way it's encouraged is some of you know CSDA has half-hour breaks so you can mingle and network. CASA only has 15-minute breaks, so you really can't network as much as you want. They admit that not everybody wants to go to the cocktail party at the end of the day, so they're looking at ways to change that. But we had 2.5 days, or excuse me, a day and a half. It was really very informative. That's all.
That's it. I'd like to, if you can just kind of nudge me next time there's an event, I'd like to get more engaged.
Okay.
All right. On my left, nothing there. All right. Director Halkett, take it away.
Real quick.
Assuming none from you.
Have a written report in the hopper from water reuse from the 21st of last month. Good show. It's all written, so I'm not going to bore you with too much. A couple of highlights. So on Sunday, we did tour the Pure Water San Diego plant, which is under construction. It's about 80% built. It's pretty amazing what $1.4 billion will buy you. Um, the scale's huge. I mean, the lobby to the visitor center is bigger than our field service office. I mean, it's just crazy. Um, the interesting part of there, and that's kind of the theme to the show, is now that the direct potable reuse regulations are out and they've been out for a little bit, that's all they talked about. Everybody, especially in Southern California. Um, Even though Pure Water San Diego is a indirect potable reuse a solution right now, in other words, they're going to put the water into their own reservoir, let it age a little bit. They're actually doing a direct potable reuse treatment train. So they're over treating for what they're doing right now, which means something. I'm not sure what. And must have been to a half dozen direct potable reuse planning, presentations on various stages of planning. San Diego is pretty far along. The other one that was interesting was on the last day, I spent the morning, I don't do this very often, in public relations. I sat and I watched several sessions about public outreach. And the people from Soquel Creek, which actually have pulled off a project, even though they're small, two observations there. They pulled their project off because they had to. Absolutely had to. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any water. They're directly, they have a sole source from an aquifer that was getting a seawater intrusion, no way to import water, so they had to do it. These types of projects appear to happen when there's a lot of urgency and you have to do something, which makes me think about our situation. The Soquel Creek person laid it out very well. Problem, project, execution, with a whole lot of public outreach in the process. Here in the Tri-Valley, we have project. In other words, we want to do something with our extra wastewater before we have the problem figured out. So something to kind of noodle out. If it's a water scarcity issue, we probably don't have any legs there because the zone can find they've proven the fact that they can find water. Wastewater disposal, nutrients, I think there's something there. I mean, we still have to be stewards of the bay, and we still have to not pump stuff to the bay, and we have to pump less stuff to the bay every year based upon the water board. So that might be the way to approach as we talk to our peers here in the valley, that maybe we start thinking about this more of a disposal project versus a supply project. If you do the disposal project, the supply comes along for free. So something to think about. And I'm sure Arun's got some stuff too.
Well, thank you, Director Halkett. Yes, I attended the water reuse, and that tour, yes, was amazing. It was probably my highlight because it made it so real of about what not only 1.4 billion can do, but how space efficiency can be incorporated into the design to make very expensive land, as we know in California, functional and useful. And I think the other core highlights, and kind of piggybacks on what Director Halkett was saying, was their informational campaign did not stop or is not going to stop once the project is done. It's part of the center of their actual project that will continue to live. And I think it helps the rest of the water agencies across not only the state of California and beyond, but it helps to really highlight the value of communication, engagement, understanding. And so that public engagement piece is just super highlighted through the realms of this kind of a project. So I won't belabor any more. Director Halkett did a really good job on the water reuse. What I do want to belabor is WEFTEC. WEFTEC, first of all, I'd like to really thank the directors for supporting my attendance at that event. It was an amazing conference. I would say by far, maybe one of the nation's largest water conferences held. To give you the magnitude, over 30,000 21,000 square feet of exhibit space, over 21,000 water professionals in attendance,
Holy cow.
all the major vendors, including theater information zones. Um, Almost every single work stream had its set of conferences throughout the conference days. And what I really loved the most was the operational challenges. Super intense, down to the equation, very tightly organized, to the point where it was real life scenarios. Okay. And I think they have ways for new agencies to get involved and have their teams to be recognized. I really think that that's something that would really encourage staff, especially if we're able to rank, right? Just think about this at a national level. But let me just say this, the way they really carried WefTech was international. There were the Ukraine delegation in attendance, for example. Okay, there were organizations from Australia, Singapore, and a few others that were in attendance. And of course, the highlighted reason why I attended. So, just to before I talk about that, I do want to spend some more time, if you guys don't mind. I normally don't give a long presentation. This one will be a long presentation because I want not only staff, I want the board, and I want the public to understand the value of our recognition. So, the utility of the future partner organizations representatives was, and I'm going to call them out by name because I think it's that important. Okay, Mickey Conway from the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, Peter Grivet, the Water Research Foundation, Mami Hara, Chief Executive Officer for the U.S. Water Alliance, Emmy Killeen, Water Environment Federation, Bruno Pidgeot, Water Reuse Association. Those were the ones that actually gave us this award. The judges, now bear in mind, there were 11 judges across the nation that evaluated all of the firms. Mark Darman, Director of the Water and Wastewater Operations at Broward County, Florida. Kumaran Gurul, Division Director of King County Wastewater Treatment Division, Washington. Paula Kehoe, Director of Water Resources, San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, California. Tricia H. Kilgore, Director of Technology and Innovation, Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority, South Carolina. John Kimmick, Director of the City of Tucson Water Department in Arizona. Maria Lucraft, Utilities Compliance and Efficiency Manager for Broward County, Water and Wastewater Services, Florida. Tim Neinerd, Utility Director for the City of Fayetteville Wastewater Recycling Facility in Arkansas. Robin Roop, Manager of Design, Plants, Northeast Ohio Regional Water District, Ohio. Lisa Thompson, General Manager for the Metropolitan Council Environmental Services, Minnesota, I think, Minneapolis. Stacy Thompson, Deputy Director for the City of Saco. I don't know what ME stands for. ME?
Maine.
Maine? Thank you. Theodore Van Ecken, Water Reclamation Facility Superintendent at Holland Board of Public Works, Michigan. And so the way the award came out was for the utility of future. Today's was the activity areas: beneficial biosolids reuse, community partnership and engagement, energy and efficiency, energy generation and recovery, nutrient and materials recovery, watershed stewardship, and then the one we got it, which was for water reuse. So with that, we received this award, which is the Certificate of Recognition from the Water Resource Utilities of the Future. Today, we got a flag in addition for that. But I think it's really, really important, not only for us, but for the staff to really understand we are being recognized and we continue to be recognized. And so there were 41 honorees 17 utilities were new, which we were one of them. 24 utilities were recognized in areas for new activities and or reapplying since 2022. So that was the WEFTEC and the Utilities of the Future Award. And on that note, I just want to say October is also Water Professionals Appreciation Week. October 4th through the 12th, it recognizes the essential work that water professionals do to deliver safe, reliable water, recycled water, wastewater services to our communities. I really, attending this event this week, I'm super passionate. Water has been my thing. It's been my career. And what each one of our staff does is they are truly what DSRSD values. They are dedicated. They always reflect professionalism. They have great teamwork. And that's why I'm saying, hey, they got to get into some more competitions. And their commitment to public service, by far, that's the most superior. And there's several people that are being recognized by staff and on our website. So directors, I do encourage you guys go onto our website. There's a new page called People Behind the Pipes. Read up the stories on our staff. I think it would mean a lot to them. If you see them in our social media, reach out, recognize them. I think every one of those things are super important. Yeah. And for the fun fact, our former public affairs supervisor, Sue Stevenson, led the charge for the statewide recognition that started in 2017. And so, it's near and dear to the entirety and the meaning of DSRSD. With that, I will conclude my report out.
Very good.
All right. That's a lot of words, right? All right.
That was a stem winder.
9A3, request for new agenda items be placed on a future board or committee agenda. Do we have any items? Seeing none. Moving on to item 9B, staff reports.
2 upcoming events that I wanted to highlight next week on Wednesday, October 15th is the Tri-Valley Mayor Summit. 4 of the board members have RSVP'd for attendance, and Director Duarte, I'll reach out to you and see if you have any interest. And then we also have the Tri-Valley Liaison Committee meeting that's confirmed on Monday, October 20th. Director Halkett is one of our representatives along with President Goel. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
I did forget to ask, since we have public affairs here, would you like the board to take a picture with this? I think it's the first time we're also being fully sat for a federal or a national award. I always like it. Is everybody on the board okay? All right, please. Let's go to the front of the dais. It seems like we have some nice flowers to entertain it with.
This is not our first national award.
Oh, is it not?
No, our
First one that I
plant,
helped receive. How's
yeah,
that?
our treatment plant had a national award from the EPA.
Wow.
This font's different.
They're waiting to make it. The one that really counts.
Easier to Instagram.
I mean, thank you. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Got it.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We actually apply for that.
Yes.
Stay on me.
Yeah, your expression tripped me up.
No. I knew it was coming. I just thought it was farther away.
With that, we are going to adjourn to closed session. Remember, when exiting, to please put your mics on mute. meeting is back in open session. The closed session has concluded. There was no reportable action taken in closed session. Item 12, adjournment. The meeting is adjourned at 7:36 p.m. Have a good evening.